Hello, my name is Dr. Tanya Sanders. We, the experts at NWOET, have created this video series to introduce weekly topics, popular tools, and resources for successful technology integration in your classroom. All these videos and resources that we're going to be talking about will be posted on this website. It is a bit.ly, bit.ly/NWOET, all in caps, and then VLOG. And you can see it on your screen right now. We will also be including this video series on our YouTube channel, Know It Now with NWOET. Joining me today for the Know It Now video blog or vlog are Judy Tucker and Dr. Roger Manier. This is our second episode for this series. Today, our topic is after COVID, what now? So during the 2020-2021 school year, we made some shifts and some changes. Some things worked, some things didn't. What we have to do now is recognize what worked and continue to move in that direction. We don't want to go backwards. Some things were good, some things were positive. As miserable as some people were and struggling and how difficult and challenging it was for teachers and students and administrators, we need to find the things that were positive and move forward with those. And if things didn't quite work, can we improve them? Can we change them? Can we adapt them and make them work with the things that did work? And if something didn't work, get rid of it. We just need to toss that out. But the main thing is we need to move forward. And as always, you're going to hear me continually saying, we have to keep building relationships throughout this. That was super important during that time. It was super important before that time. And it's going to continue to be important in a school district way after any new challenges arise. So now I'm going to hand it over to Roger to dig a little deeper into this topic. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning. Glad to be here again. And what I'd like to do is talk today a little bit about fall 2021 being different. Introduced this last week, what happens after COVID and what are the things that you as an educator, as a teacher, as a professional in the classroom, as an administrator, as an aide, what is it that you're going to be dealing with and how can we help our students return to some level of normalcy after what we've been through this past 18 months. One of the things I mentioned last week was help students organize their home workspace because we are still going to have students working at home with more tools and resources than we've ever had available for most families at home. And we're going to talk more about this next week as well. But organize the home workspace. One of the most important things you can do as you help students return to the fall is make sure they're ready for learning in the classroom and at home. Also talked a little bit about tech tools and why. If you're like most educators, in your mail every single day, you're getting bombarded with companies selling tools to help improve learning. There's a lot of money available out there from COVID, federal money, state money, grant programs through corporations and other places. And every single company is encouraging you to say, buy their resource. This will help students learn. Kids are going to have all this extra technology that's being purchased through funding provided by the U.S. government, the U.S. Department of Education, the Ohio Department of Education, various COVID relief funds. You're going to have all this extra technology and all this extra internet. Buy our resource. It's going to be great. So what I'd like to focus on for the next couple minutes is how do I sort through all of the many resources that I'm being encouraged to purchase, that I'm being encouraged to use in the classroom. And when you're at the fair or the amusement park, Cedar Point, Kings Island, wherever, there are a lot of healthy choices on the midway. And there's a lot of choices that aren't good for you at all. They might be fun, they might be interesting, you might enjoy them, your students might enjoy them, but they're not really the healthy choice. And so as you're looking at the resources that are coming at you this summer and fall of 2021, as you're looking at all of the resources you're being encouraged to purchase and to use in the classroom, I have a very, very simple test. It works for every single resource that you might encounter. Honestly, I encourage you to contact me if you find that I'm wrong on this, but I don't think you will. I'm not perfect by a long ways, but research, best practice, and my own professional opinion are there is a test that you can use for every single resource. And if it passes this test, it might be a good choice to improve learning, to help support instruction. But if it doesn't pass this test, you may want to look for some other option. And so what's the healthy choice when it comes to tech tools? Does it provide data on student performance that's easy to access? And does it go beyond a quiz that is simple recall and into higher level of learning strategies? You know, can the students apply what they learn, not just remember? If the resource you're considering, if what you're looking at for your classroom, if what the vendor is trying to sell you, or in some cases give you for free through grant funding, if it provides data on individual student performance, if it helps you as the teacher know whether students are meeting their learning objectives, and if there's an easy way for you to see that data and understand it and apply it to improving learning for that student, then I definitely want to look at that resource in a little bit more detail. But if that resource does not provide me data, if it's not easy for me as a teacher to go back and see, did the student meet the learning objectives from using this resource? And I'll give you an example. If you go to the resources for today's episode, you'll actually see this episode, a short little clip as part of the video on it. But there's a really fun math tool appropriate for early elementary. It's addition. It helps them learn addition. Little balloons come up and the student has to add the two numbers and they type it in. And if they type it in, you know, fun things happen and it's engaging. I like it. I honestly believe it helps kids learn, but there's no way for the teacher to get data from this resource. There's no way for the teacher to go back and say, Jimmy, this is how you did on your math addition practice. Paul, this is how you did. Sally, this is how you did. You know, there's no way for the teacher to see how well the student performed or where they struggled. So while it's fun and engaging, and I personally think it probably helps them learn their math, it helps them practice addition in the early elementary, you don't get any data from it. So it's probably not the best resource for your students to practice and explore single digit, two digit addition because there's no data from it. Think about this concept, let it mull through your minds as we go forward with the many, many resources we're being encouraged to try and use with our students. Does it give me data that I can look at it and I can see how is this child doing? Are they improving or not? Have they understood the learning, the concept? Can they apply it? Have they met the learning objective or not? If the resource you're looking at, of the many, many resources, you know, Kahoot, Edpuzzle, Flipgrid, you know, just, you know, a wonderful bouquet of resources there. That's my number one test. Can I get data from it that will help me understand as a teacher, will help me understand whether that student's learning? So that's my number one tip for this week. Last week, my number one tip was, whoops, here we go, about making sure we were organized, that we help students organize for learning. My number one tip for this week is that we make sure that the resources we're looking at, the online tools, are going to help us with measuring students' accomplishment. Are they moving towards their goals? Are they meeting the learning objectives that you as a teacher have established for them? There's one other thing I'd like to talk about in a different vein right now, and that is the recovery process from COVID. Academic recovery, social, emotional recovery that Tanya's mentioned, this is not something that's overnight. As we begin returning to normalcy, everything that we are seeing and experiencing and understanding from the research articles, the observational evidence, the best practices, is it's going to take us a while to get back to normal. It's going to take us a while to get back to an educational environment where we're focusing on education as opposed to disaster recovery. How do I do that? Here's a few simple steps. it will help. First off, with your students, when they come back in the fall, please celebrate the accomplishments. Even in districts and classrooms that struggled tremendously under COVID, there were some things that worked well. I guarantee you, you had some things that worked, and celebrate that with your students. Recognize things that didn't work and be honest about it. You know what, students? Here's number one. We know that a lot of you didn't get your assignments in on time. We know that a lot of you were not able to accomplish the amount of work that I, as the teacher, expected to you. This is something that's going to be different about fall. Assignments need to be completed and in on time. This is one of the biggest issues that we anticipate is going to be facing most teachers, is when students come back, getting them in that mindset is it's not okay to just partially complete assignments. It's not okay to turn assignments in late. We understand there are a lot of challenges in COVID. Fall of 21 is different. Your assignments need to be completed and in on time. And you need to ask me, the teacher, when you need help. There's going to be opportunities for that. So celebrate your accomplishments, identify where we're at now, identify processes that worked and didn't work. That's where the late assignments comes in. And I'm sure you can add a few other things that did not work very well during COVID. Recognize that with your students. Don't just gloss over it. Don't just pretend fall of 21 was just like fall of 19. You know, we have to recognize with our students, with our coworkers, with our administration, with our parents, we have to recognize that something really major happened in our lives. And now we're recovering from it, and spend some time talking about that recovery process and a little bit of time about preparing for the future, which is going to be part of our focus next week. Tanya, Judy, that's my thoughts on
great ideas there, Roger. I really appreciate you sharing those. The one thing that I thought of, and I'll say quickly, is make sure that with all these tools out there, that's a perfect screen to put up there, Roger. He put up his resources screen again. Basically, I wanted to say that make sure you're picking the right tool for what you want to do. Don't just pick a tool. Remember, the curriculum drives all these things anyways, and all those tools that were kind of thrown at you, you know, minimize or maximize on those tools and only use the ones that are really necessary to continue curriculum in the right direction. And
absolutely.
also,
I'm just going to throw in there, don't try 20 tools, try one and focus on it and make it work. And then you can, I'm not saying you only use one, but you know, a lot of different tools is not as good as a few tools used well.
Very good, very good. Judy, we haven't had a chance to hear from you. How about you jump in on this topic and share a little bit of your expertise on this?
Okay, well, I am going to be showing you some new things from InfoOhio. Now, InfoOhio is not new here in our experience with COVID, but it is becoming even stronger of a resource for schools and teachers. I am going to go to my slides here and show you what's new for this next school year. As Roger was giving his presentation, I got a little nervous though, because some of the resources that InfoOhio provides, there is no way to get data directly without the teacher doing some kind of extra work, but there is one of them. So one of the new, well, it isn't exactly new, but I'll get to it at the end of my little presentation here. But InfoOhio has added some exciting new things. There's really 5 general resources that have been added, and I'm going to be able to show you 3 of those today, and then I will hold the other 2 for one of our next vlogs. So just showing you the new ebook collection for high school and educators. These resources that I'm showing you today are all today. I couldn't believe the date, July 1st, and we were actually recording this on July 1st, but they're available now on the infoohio.org website, INFOHIO.org. And just to show you some screenshots of some of the ebooks that are available, there's over 12,000 ebooks in formats that students can download onto their devices. And they are quite a wide variety. In fact, they even provide a spreadsheet of these books, and there's a way to search. Perhaps one of our future vlogs, I can actually go in and show exactly how you get to the search feature, but it comes from EBSCO. And then there is a collection for educators, over 4,600 ebooks of all kind of areas. And here's some screenshots from some of those books. They'll be especially helpful for teachers when they are doing their professional development and have to access resources in their research. I can't wait to see a few of the ones that they even show here on their screenshots. They have a spreadsheet as well, very detailed spreadsheet of the titles for these books. The next one, that data can be provided from Storia. We've had Storia for a few years now for students as a scholastic product provided by InfoOhio at no charge for schools here in Ohio. The teacher does create accounts for each student in their school, and originally it was just grades 4, and then we added grade 5 last year, and this coming school year it's going to be available for grades 3 through 6. There's a variety of ebooks that the students can access. The teacher can assign them to the whole class, to just individual students or groups of students, and there is an assessment as part of one of the features that a teacher can see how long a student accessed the book. And also there is an assessment that the teacher can see the scores. So that is definitely a way to gather data on student use of Storia. So I'm excited to see that resource expanded and make sure all 3rd through 6th grade teachers know about this. In fact, that's the thing I most wish, that all teachers knew about the resources of InfoOhio when their students are doing research, just have general questions. I know there's still a lot of parents that do not know about InfoOhio based on some of the parent-teacher conferences when I've sat out in the hall and when the parents are leaving, did a little survey about their knowledge of InfoOhio and provided them with some information. And there were quite a few that just their students never told them, or maybe they aren't getting this information. But our state is very, very fortunate to have a resource like InfoOhio instead of students having to go to the library. Anywhere you can, I mean, certainly you can access it at the library, and most public librarians that I've ever talked to do know about InfoOhio and direct their students there as well. So just
Judy,
letting
Judy, can you just tease them with the 3rd resource and tell them what that one's going to be? And that could be a great place to continue on next week.
Yeah, very quickly is the ones from InfoBase. There are 3 different topics. I'm just going to go really quickly through them. Today's science, and you'll find that in the 9 through 12 area of InfoOhio. And then in the elementary section of InfoOhio, you have the World Almanac for Kids and the World Almanac for Kids Elementary. And these are awesome resources with quizzes and worksheets and crossword puzzles and all kinds of things that go along with the articles. Now, it would involve a little extra teacher work to get the results of the quizzes to use as data. It's not as clear cut as what Storia does. So those are the last 3, but like I said, I've got 2 more resources that are new this coming school year that I can't wait to share with Ohio educators. That's it, Tanya.
Cool. And Judy, I just want to throw out there, you mentioned about data. I mean, there are some fantastic resources, and certainly the fiction and nonfiction books and articles fall into that category where, while the resource itself doesn't contain an assessment, traditionally the teacher will put together an assessment or identify an assessment to make sure that that resource, whatever reason you're assigning that to the student, that they've met the objectives you have for it. So those can be great resources. And Story, fantastic data available from it on how students are performing in reading improvement.
Yeah, definitely great resources there and great comments. We will touch on those a little bit more specifically. On our YouTube series, Judy has wonderful episodes and playlists that are included regarding InfoOhio's wonderful resources. I think it's worth a look there, and those are going to be on our resource page as well. But that's all we have for you today. We're trying to keep these short so you don't get bored. And also remember, all of our contact information, all of our resources are also available on our vlog website, which is the bit.ly/NWOET vlog. You can see that on your screen as well. And next week's topic will be, what will fall 2022 be like? Thank you, Roger and Judy, and thanks to our loyal districts and teachers for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.